let's get into
Okay.
it. Take two. We already filmed an interview, but
The first one was us stuffing our faces.
yeah, in a
with
loud
Bimnong.
cafe, a rushed environment. And now we're in this lovely pagoda.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see behind me, but
Still in Hanoi.
yeah, still in Hanoi. What was it, 2 months ago?
Yep.
2 months later. We're going to be talking about Megan's experience as a solo traveler living in Pakistan for what was it, a year?
So I've been there a few times. So broken up, like 6 months at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've lived in many places. I've been on the road for almost 4 years. So I left my home in Hawaii after I graduated university. Hawaii is such an amazing place, but it is a bubble.
Yeah.
So I gave myself an ultimatum. After I graduated, if I didn't find a passion, a job, or somewhere to relocate, I was going to sell everything and just fuck off.
Yeah.
So I just fucked off.
Yeah.
So I did the typical backpacker thing and just went to Thailand.
Yeah.
But, haven't really stopped since. So started in Thailand, went to Cambodia, and then just been on the road ever since. I never plan very far ahead. I just kind of go.
Yeah.
So it's been a really good experience, a really tough experience.
So what year was the first year that you went to Pakistan?
2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Why?
Well, so I was managing a bar in Cambodia. I had a coworker who was managing the bar with me, a man from Pakistan. He would tell everyone, "Oh, visit Pakistan. It's a beautiful place. The people are so kind, but the media portrays it pretty bad." So he would try to just, tell people, from his experience, it's good. So he invited many people to visit him. I'm the only one crazy enough to go.
Yeah. Not everybody. Pakistan's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Or at least the perceived Pakistan.
Yeah. So I decided why not. I had to apply for the visa in America. So I flew home, surprised my family with a quick visit, got the visa, went to Pakistan. As an American, though, the visa is difficult, so I only got 30 days. So that 30 days was spent scrambling, trying to renew my visa, but they kept denying me. And I really did, so far, love the country. My friend there is an amazing person. I learned so much just in 30 days. And, I kind of fell in love, so we just kind of got married. So I ended up staying there a very long time. Even though it was originally only supposed to be 30 days, I ended up living there. The people you meet across cultures, you never know.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
as different as we are, I don't know. I flew all the way over there just to see him, so why not get married?
Yeah.
So he's still the most amazing person I ever met.
Oh, that's great.
So spent 6 months there, running trekking tours with him. So we'd spent time in the cities, but also go north. Did a bunch of travel to the villages, mountains, lakes. Did some of the craziest shit. Shoot AK-47s in the mountains. Ride.
That's always fun.
Yeah, ride jeeps. Along like cliff sides, and did a lot of amazing things.
Oh yeah.
I never thought I would do.
So you went there initially for 30 days and ended up extending that, or you went home and then came back?
No, I extended it while I was there.
For how long?
6 months.
Oh, 6 months?
Because I got married, so once we were married, I could be there as long as I wanted.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so, it just kind of fell into place. You think one thing, and then, a place can become your second home, so.
So you said you were staying in the north. Where in the north?
Mostly in the Hunza region. So
Can you spell that for me?
Hunza.
Okay.
But specifically Gulken.
Okay.
So it's a very small village, isolated, still live in stone houses.
Oh, wow.
Runs on agriculture. I met the most amazing people there. So when I didn't feel like being on tours with my husband, I would kind of ditch him and just live in the village. So
nice.
these people just adopted me and, kept me safe, fed me.
Yeah.
I would volunteer in the schools because tourism is gaining popularity. So learning English is like basically one of the most important things.
Yeah.
So they can accommodate tourism and actually create a better life for themselves. So I would just volunteer in the schools and kind of just be the village puppy dog.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
people would just let me in their house, feed me.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, there's the white girl wandering around again. But it was amazing. The culture in Pakistan is very different than American culture, and especially being a woman, I learned a lot. It made me appreciate being where I'm from, but also appreciate Muslim culture.
Yeah.
Very, very much.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
How was it adjusting to a Muslim majority country as a woman?
Hard.
Hard?
Hard.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful religion, but with any religion there are dark sides.
Oh, 100%.
And as a woman, I'm used to having a lot more freedom and can express myself, but there I have to be, culturally sensitive. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
And the women there are so smart and amazing. Men there too. It was a learning experience.
Okay.
But I could still be myself.
Yeah.
When I met my husband's family for the first time, I still had my piercings. I'm still able to be myself no matter what country I go to.
Yeah.
But I feel it's very important to respect.
Oh, of course.
So whether it's Pakistan or in Southeast Asia,
Yeah, of course.
it's very different from America. So
Yeah.
you can still be yourself, but understand the cultural norms and respect it. So
Yeah.
and it keeps you humble.
Yeah, 100%. What was the nearest major town?
What do you mean?
Like,
in northern?
what's the nearest that you were, and what's the nearest town, and what was the major industry of that town? What stirred the economy there?
Well, I mean, in northern Pakistan, there's many little villages and towns, so I don't know.
Is there any metropolitan area?
The two biggest metropolitan areas I was in was Lahore and Islamabad, which is a 24-hour bus ride to the north.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there are like bigger towns and things, but the two biggest I've been to.
So it's all agrarian?
Yeah. It depends. I would pass through I've been to the town where they found Osama's body, many
Lord.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some are not the most safest towns.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to pass through them, but generally it's pretty safe. A big industry now is tourism because it's gaining popularity, but a lot of agriculture.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's the exchange rate and the value of the money? We can compare it to Southeast Asia if you want.
Rupees. The economy is pretty bad in Pakistan. It does go up and down. It's a volatile.
Is it more or less expensive than Hanoi?
So Islamabad was a bit more expensive, but I mean the villages are really cheap.
Yeah, everywhere.
It depends. Like every country, it has its expensive areas, but their economy. It depends on certain things, because with India being tense, the wars and stuff always affect their economy. So the dollar will go up and down based on, what's going on politically. But they do have good industries like spices.
I bet.
The salt mines. The salt mines are pretty big there. Yeah.
Okay.
Hash is good there.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Right over the border from Afghanistan.
Yeah, I'm just saying, so that's a pretty good, I wouldn't say industry, but that's,
Oh, it's an industry. So you were on if I recall correctly, that's the northeast side?
Yeah.
Did you ever travel to the northwest or the borders of any other countries other than India?
No, there's places that are definitely too dangerous to go to, and they just don't let you go, like Balochistan,
Yeah, of course.
Or right near the Afghan border. So they make it a point to keep it safe for foreigners because
of course.
It's they know if bad things happen, the media will be like, Pakistan is the worst. So the government keeps an eye
Oh, okay, that's good.
on foreigners, but also I wasn't just tourist.
Yeah.
I was off kind of on my own. I would hitchhike.
Yeah.
So even though they would keep track of the tours,
Yeah.
when I'd go off on my own, you definitely would be in a few sketchy situations.
Yeah, of
not the
course.
most safest places, but for the most part, the kindness and the good experiences outweighed the bad experiences
great.
by far.
Yeah.
By far.
Oh, that's great. Do you have any getting picked up for a night by an old woman story?
What do you mean by that?
Like you're just wandering around, you meet an old lady, she invites you to dinner.
Oh, I would get invited to people's
Yeah.
houses all the time.
Yeah.
People are so friendly there, and it's part of the culture to
Yeah.
welcome guests. And I obviously stand out quite a bit, so I would go into strangers' houses
Oh, nice.
all the time.
Yeah. No, I've done
all
it
the
before.
time.
Yeah.
With most countries I've been to, I'm so lucky I've been adopted by just many people.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
whether sometimes I would travel with people, I'd meet them, on the road, but most of the time I'm alone, and I just make family wherever I go.
Yeah.
So even in places like London,
Mhm.
I've been welcomed into families' homes and stayed with them for,
Oh, of course.
So I'm lucky enough where, I'm open to meeting new people, and you can, sometimes it's dangerous just to trust people automatically, but I always trust strangers, which is,
I generally agree.
Yeah.
In practice, that's generally what I do. One of the things people always tell me when we're talking about long-term solo travel is that they would be worried they feel alone. You and I have talked about this before. You're never really alone. So I generally agree it's best to just take up the dinner offers.
Yeah, and I do a lot of couch surfing or the website couch surfing, but most of the time it's just spontaneous. Like I will literally just meet like someone out or just get into a conversation and like I fall in love with people very easily.
Yeah.
So it's just like I like to make family wherever I go, and I do a lot of volunteer work. So like in Hanoi, we volunteer at the homestay.
You meet so many people.
Yeah, and so that you create a network when you do things like that, and so I live very minimally, so I can survive off volunteering and just minimal side jobs. Like recently, Kong from Homestay invited me to his family's house in Ningbin.
Oh, that's so nice.
You start somewhere, and it gives you the opportunity. I was able to go to his cousin's wedding and meet his grandparents. And so you make family, as you go.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's the most special thing to me.
Yeah.
But it
And
also
the food.
Vietnam has amazing food.
Oh yeah.
Amazing food. So. And it makes me appreciate my family back home too, though. It does.
Yeah, no, of course. I realized if I met a traveler in Los Angeles, I'd invite them to dinner.
Oh, yeah. And when I do go back home to visit, I've welcomed people into my home, and people have visited me from other countries.
Oh, yeah.
So I've had friends from Estonia, France, fly all the way to Hawaii just to visit me, who I've met in places like Thailand.
Yeah.
Cambodia. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hawaii would be a fun place to have a local guide.
Hit me up if you ever want to go.
Oh, I will. I will one day. I have never been to Hawaii. But going back to the food, you were living in a small rural area, presumably?
Yeah.
How diverse was the diet there? Or was it...
That was actually a big problem for me.
Oh, yeah?
So Pakistan's food is amazing.
Rice base?
Rice, but mostly bread.
Okay.
In certain parts, the food is more diverse, but in the north, I was there during winter, so the crops were pretty much finished growing because it was getting too cold.
So just things that would stay for months?
Yeah, so we ate, and we were kind of too poor to buy a lot of meat, and you can get some vegetables, but winter it's difficult.
Yeah.
So for a while, we just lived off basically bread every day, and like, I don't have the best digestive system, so I had a hard time just, eating that.
How active were they in the winter? What's their caloric need?
So they eat a lot because you work in the farms and stuff, but I wasn't there for the real freezing winter. I was there for the beginning, but it gets so cold where you just can't leave the house.
Yeah, I was wondering, what do they do when it's...
There's no school. You save up as much food as you can, preserve it. Everyone sleeps around the stove.
Okay.
So you don't go in any bedrooms. You just have to keep each other warm. You leave just to feed the farm animals. but you can't. It gets so cold, you can't do anything.
Do they play games? Do they tell stories?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. Have board games made it out there yet? Decks of cards, I would assume.
Yep, they play cards. A lot of cards.
Backgammon.
We played just regular card games. They like to gamble a little bit.
Oh, of course.
I introduced them to Twister and Uno. Those are the two things I always travel with.
Oh, that's funny.
So I'm probably the first person who's brought Twister to Pakistan.
Yeah.
So
probably pretty close, if not the first.
So I left all my games there. But yeah, you're forced to just like spend time together. Lots of stories and singing. They have really interesting instruments. You dance. Yeah, it's a really good time.
Oh, cool.
It's a lot of quality time.
Yeah,
Because not a lot of people have power.
Yeah.
So, and even when you do have power, in the villages, it's usually you get a power only an hour a day. Maybe.
Okay, just to charge batteries and stuff.
But with the tourism increasing and the economy increasing, it is going to be a lot more modern.
Okay.
So I think in a few years, it'll.
There's no way it's not going to progress.
Yeah.
I mean, unless the country like devolves into chaos, which Pakistan seems pretty stable government, like politically.
Not all the time.
Okay, that's fair. What's the sleep schedule like when you don't have electricity? Do you just go to sleep when it gets dark? Do you light candles? Because people normally don't sleep 12 hours a day, but if you don't have light.
It depends. They work very hard there, so during the summer warm months, working all day in the farm, so you go to bed pretty early.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But when I was in the cities, people are up very late. So
I'm assuming there's not much of a drinking culture there.
No, it's
Yeah.
People still do it on the down low, but it's very hard to get your hands on alcohol. But we could get our hands on illegal moonshine quite a bit.
Hash.
Yeah, but it's a very restricted culture, so there's a lot you can't do there.
Okay.
The men are out pretty late. The women generally stay in a lot or go to cafes, sometimes malls, like families will go to the malls, but I didn't have much of a nightlife.
Yeah.
As just a girl, there's not as much.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of cartoons, Cartoon Network. But the men do stay out pretty late, and the young men. So I was living with my husband and 5 of his university roommates.
Oh, wow.
In a very small 2-bedroom apartment, so they would stay up all night.
Yeah.
And since they just studied, they would sleep. So it was different. American culture, I'm used to being up very early. They would stay up all night and then sleep all day. So it's just the culture, very different.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a hard thing to adjust to. But it just depends.
Yeah, of course. If you had like a problem with a neighbor, how would you resolve that? Would you go to a religious leader or a political police?
Okay, so I actually asked this when I was up north because there are police in Pakistan, but they're very corrupt. So a lot of people don't like the police. So in the villages, if there's an issue, the town kind of solves it before they call the police. So like elders, they try to solve it within themselves before they go to police.
Okay.
But in the cities, the police are more common, and they are very corrupt.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I could be wrong on this. This is third-party information. From my understanding, civil disputes in Saudi Arabia and what was the other one? Saudi Arabia, Iraq. They go to a religious leader who also has political control because it's a theocratic state. So the religious leader would have religious police to solve the issue. Yeah. Is it closer to that, or is it closer to America, where it's a strict judicial system?
No, I think both. Their law is basically, religion is the law.
It's a theocratic state. Yeah.
So their laws are based on the religion. So it's hand in hand.
Okay.
But in the villages, they more just deal with it amongst themselves.
Yeah.
And the imams and stuff, and just the elders or just the people, they kind of handle it as a family before they deal with police.
Okay.
So, but they really don't have that much crime.
If there's nothing to do, there's nothing to do.
Drugs are a problem there, and alcohol, on the down low is a problem. Violence, against women is a problem. But it's not like in the smaller villages. I mean, they're a big family, so it's really there's no random crimes, not much, you know.
Yeah.
But in the cities, there is like theft.
Yeah.
There is issues.
Okay.
But just like any city.
Yeah. Hello. I'm not 100% certain we're allowed to film here, so I'm just waiting for him to tell us not to. But I think it's okay.
But it's so relaxing and nice.
Yeah, I've filmed at pagodas before, and they've never had an issue. Yeah.
But there's just the sweetest old people walking around.
Yeah. Carrying candles. I don't know if you saw the actual like monk walking around.
No.
Yeah, like full on monk garb, bald head, carrying a book.
It's in such a crazy place like Hanoi. It's good to have a little bit of peace.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, you need it.
One of the reasons I'm happy Buddhism isn't that popular here. I can just go to a pagoda for quiet time. So yeah, Pakistan.
So one of the most interesting things, going somewhere like Pakistan or even Southeast Asia, I'm used to always standing out a lot, and I don't like a lot of attention.
I don't like a lot of attention.
Okay, so I'm OCD, so with my piercings, I like symmetry.
No, I get it.
So
yeah. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah. So it's weird. I'm like a, I don't know how to call it, but I'm weird like that, where I'm not a fan of attention, but I don't know, I like to express myself like this, but it's mostly because I enjoy the symmetry.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm an anxious mess, so when I look in the mirror and I see symmetry, it calms me down. But in places I've been to, you know, like certain parts of Southeast Asia and Pakistan, I stand out so much. So when I go, it's just a weird adjustment. So after Pakistan, I ended up staying in London for a while, Dublin, and where I'm not special.
Yeah.
Like I look like everyone else,
Yeah.
so it's a weird adjustment going from places where I'm an alien, and then to where I blend in. And
Don't you kind of miss the attention?
No,
Oh.
It was the biggest breath of fresh air.
Oh, yeah.
Landing in London after being constantly stared at for like months and months and months, where I can just walk through a crowd and just be ignored.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
I enjoy the serenity of it, but whenever I go back to, I guess, the West in general, I don't know. I got to say I like the attention, but I don't also like to. I like to stand out a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to get like neck tattoos or face tattoos or anything, but.
The one good thing about standing out in another culture, it kind of gives you an advantage to meet interesting people.
100%.
So, you know, if you're very different somewhere, people notice you, so you can connect with people easily. So even like Vietnam, if I'm sitting on a bus, sometimes I'll just talk to a random old Vietnamese person just because we're so different.
Yeah.
So when you're kind of like in London, a lot of people are introverted because, you know, I don't know, there's so many people and you're not special. So you don't have as much reason to talk to people, you know?
Yeah.
But if you're so different, I don't know, people, it's like an open door to like learning about, you know, different people. So I like that.
100%. Let's move locations, just because the talking in the background might be a little bit much.
We'll be back soon.
Yeah. I'm actually going to just keep recording.
Okay.
Just edit it. Yeah.
It really is peaceful here.
Oh, no, this is one of my favorite pagodas. Do you mind holding these for a second?
Yeah.
Thanks. you mind standing for a little bit?
Oh yeah, I'm
All right, I got an idea. Yeah, a little bit further back. All right, cool.
Oh, you have an audio thing with it.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Sorry, we're a little further from the camera now, so I'm just gonna hold this.
Yeah.
Can you hold that for a second? Okay. Just so I can sync the audio and the video later.
Wait, what? The clapping?
When the levels go up, I'll be able to see a visualization of the waveform. So I find the clap in the video, and then I line the clap up with the waveform so that the audio is synced. You know, have you ever seen one of the in the movie?
Yeah.
The black and white. That's what that's for.
Are you serious?
You line up the sound of the snap with the visual of it closing.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah, that's what that's for.
I thought it was just to be dramatic. Like,
No. They used to have to sync it up. They'd have two different tapes, a videotape and an audio tape. So they'd have to speed up or slow down until they lined up properly.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you do one at the beginning and one at the end to make sure that everything's, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
That's
but
so funny.
it's digital age, we wanted to do one. So where were we?
Talking about different, standing out in different cultures.
Yeah. How was, okay, when I spend time anywhere, you find, lack of a better term, ideological extremists.
Okay.
And I'm not saying in like a violent sense, but people who with very extreme, out of the mainstream views.
Okay.
And I don't want to equate this with with Islamic extremism, but just ideological extremism in any direction. Did you experience any of that? Like
Yes.
I get it in America, I get it in Israel, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, in every country, but in Pakistan, there are for sure the extremists.
Yeah.
There was a few times where there would be protests going on, and I did not leave the apartment because as an American, I know I'm a target, and I would see them around my apartment, and that was a little scary.
Yeah. It happened once? How often?
A couple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you in the village or were you in?
This was in Islamabad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just have to be culturally aware, just like wherever you go.
Did you get any one-on-one contact with them, or was it more just like I avoid you, you avoid me kind of thing?
Well, I didn't leave my.
Not the protesters, but did you get a chance? Like sometimes you get a chance to like pick their brain. Like I've stayed with a rabbi in the West Bank for a little while. I got to see what Jewish extremism looks like.
I never talked face to face with the real extremists. A lot of Pakistanis don't like them. They say they give them a bad name.
Yeah.
But I, of course, got to have a lot of interesting conversations with different people there. I enjoyed the people in Gulkin because the way they practiced religion, the men and women would pray together in the mosque. They would go to school together.
Oh, that's good.
Work in the farms together. So it was Ismaili. So it's a type of more open-minded Muslim.
Yeah.
So that's why I spent so much time there because it was very equal and
Oh, that's great.
not too extreme.
Yeah.
Because in some places, I mean, they'll still burn schools down, women's schools down because they don't want them to have education and stone them to death. So I tried to stay away from that type of people.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Like I said, the good outweighs the bad 1,000,000% there.
Oh, yeah.
And even more conservative people still accepted me.
Yeah.
Like I felt the love.
Yeah.
Like I was nervous meeting my husband's family, but like immediately like best friends, and they accepted me for who I am. I did not have to change what I look like,
great.
or
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's the most special. It almost makes me want to cry thinking about them.
Yeah. Oh no, that's great. Did you get to learn any cooking Pakistani dishes?
A little bit.
Yeah.
We ate a lot of bread and eggs.
How much do they leaven their bread, or how much do they rate? Is it more of like a flat bread, or do they make like loaves?
In the north, we made loaves because you have these like stove things that heat your house, but also like are a stove. So you bury in these like metal pan things. You bury it in coals and kind of. It's really hard to explain. so you bury it in the heat. But then it's usually flatbreads, like naan and stuff and prada.
Yeah.
But that's usual. But in the north, we would make loaves.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the staple meat? Do they do beef?
Yeah, beef.
No
chicken.
pork.
No pork
no
at
pork,
all.
yeah.
No pork at all.
Okay.
Chicken, beef. In the north, we have yak.
Oh, nice. Did you get to try yak butter?
Yeah.
Oh, that's one thing I've always wanted to try.
A lot of dairy.
Cool.
Eggs. A lot of eggs. Not so much fish. They eat it a little in the winter.
Okay.
But if you're in Karachi, you're close.
Yeah.
A lot closer to fish.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's some areas had really nice fruit. Veggies, pretty good veggies. Not always the most variety, but amazing onions.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, like the red onions, the best red onions I've ever had.
Oh, nice.
So.
You mentioned in our previous conversations about Chinese influence.
Oh yeah, with the border.
Yeah. Would you say China has the most presence out of any of the world powers, or would you think American influence or Russian influence, European influence is higher?
They like Western culture. I mean, just like I think everywhere in the world kind of latches on to Western culture because of the music, movies.
Easily accessible.
Yeah, but China has a big influence politically.
What do the people think about that? I know Vietnamese people aren't too happy about it.
It's half-half. So they kind of have a hold on Pakistan because of the border. So China's building highways now. So some feel it's very good, but some do not like China's presence.
Yeah.
There is a lot of propaganda. You'll see Pakistan-China friendship everywhere.
Is that government sponsor? Or is that
Yeah.
Okay?
You'll literally see Pakistan-China friendship posters, and it's very propaganda looking. Some people up north don't like it, but then it will strengthen the economy because you can get import and exports out.
Yeah.
But it'll also, I think, ruin a little bit of the natural beauty up north because when some areas are so untouched, when it starts getting touched,
Yeah.
But that's, I think, the progression in most places.
Yeah.
Like, things evolve.
Modernization.
Yeah, which it breaks my heart a little bit, but.
Yeah, I mean, you also got to think about it. One of the reasons it is like that is because of the Silk Road. Like that, a lot of their practices were developed because of the Silk Road. A lot of their early economies, early village. So I'm not going to really take a stance on it. I have my opinion.
I'm the same way when it comes to other countries' politics and culture. I try not to take too much of a stance one way. I just like to experience.
Yeah,
I just learn as much as I can, and it's, I don't know.
Oh no, of course. And India, how is the relationship with India?
They don't like each other.
Yeah.
This might sound insensitive, but it reminds me of like a football rivalry. So Pakistan kind of talks shit about India. India talks shit about Pakistan, and they usually say the same shit to each other.
Yeah.
I don't know. They just.
Yeah, they don't like each other.
Yeah, it's simple as that. They just don't like each other. I don't know. It gets more tense at times.
Did you ever feel any effects of the conflict directly, or was it just people telling you stories?
Mostly stories. I've been to the border a couple times, and watched they have a ceremony at the border, where it's like a peaceful border. So you can see India side and Pakistan, and they do like a flag ceremony every single day. So that's kind of nice to have some type of peace, but then it's also to show the country's strength.
Yeah.
So kind of be like, I'm strong, and I'm strong.
Yeah.
So it's like a bittersweet border. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah,
sounds right.
It was interesting to see though, and to I think many countries kind of butt heads.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things.
Yeah. No, that's fair. What other countries is a neighbor? It's Afghanistan, China, and India. Does it have a Bhutan border? I don't recall off the top of my head.
I don't test me.
Okay,
I'm the worst.
worries.
I should know.
No worries. Did you ever feel any military presence? Did you know anyone who ever served in the military?
Oh yeah, military is everywhere there.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
military.
More than police?
I wouldn't say more, but they're separate entities.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, military's everywhere.
Okay.
And a lot of times, I would have armed, like in some areas, there would be armed guards or people, like you would see guns everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's just a big presence there.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just part of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any spooky stories that you're comfortable telling? Like you don't have to.
I did have a few bad experiences there. We would, like spooky ghost-wise, they do believe a lot in ancestors, and so there'd be a few times where we'd hike and it would get nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in some woods, you do fear the spirits, so that was kind of freaky.
Yeah.
But very interesting also to learn about,
Mm-hmm.
learn about that. But that was a little scary. Sometimes we'd be hiking, at night, and they do believe there's,
Yeah.
ghosts and spirits, and
Yeah.
so that was a little tense. And I was put in a few scary situations where, when there's, a divide in language where, you can't understand each other. Like I wouldn't really know if someone was there to hurt me or help me just with the language barrier.
Mm-hmm.
So I was caught in a few scary situations. But it's,
Yeah.
I think anywhere in the world can be dangerous, but
Yeah.
it is a little risky there.
Okay.
Yeah, and just the way I travel, like, I would hitchhike and do things on my own, and explore on my own. So
Yeah. How long, when you're hitchhiking, how long on average did it take for someone to pick you up? Also, do they know the thumb? Oh, okay.
Like this.
Yeah.
Oh, I would get picked up immediately.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Most people are friendly.
Yeah.
And if I got just hitchhiking anywhere in the world, if you get bad vibes from someone, you just don't get in the car.
Yeah,
But
of course.
yeah, like I said, everywhere people adopt me. So
Yeah.
I'm so lucky, no matter where I go.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's great. That's great.
And I mean, a big thing I loved about Pakistan, I was still able to, explore some of my hobbies. So I love art. So, I took some art classes and would able to make friends, as different a culture is, you can still find things, common things.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter where I go, I try to look for, some type of similarities.
Yeah.
So I love art. So everywhere in the world, you'll find artists, art galleries, culture. So I took some art classes, which
Oh, nice.
I absolutely loved.
You said you were teaching English?
Yes.
How easy was it to find work?
Oh, it wasn't work.
Okay.
I literally,
Oh, you just did it?
yeah, so the village I was living in,
Were you able to make any income, or?
No,
Okay.
I wasn't there to make any money.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough where the village I stayed in, I know English would really improve their lives. So
Yeah.
I just showed up at the school and volunteered, and I taught 10 classes a day.
Oh, wow.
6 days a week.
Yeah.
And they fed me. I was their, family.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was not there to, most countries I go to, I really am not there to make money.
Yeah. I'm more just curious. Do you think you could have?
If I stayed maybe in the cities, like there are embassies, and I could find work if
Yeah.
I really, really, really tried, but
Not really worth the
I
effort.
wasn't. Yeah, and I really wasn't there to make money.
Yeah, no, of course.
But I'm just lucky, I had, my husband there, and
Mm-hmm.
I could help him on tours.
Just make yourself useful.
Yeah. I'm never a bum. I always try to find some way to be useful, and whenever I travel, I always find work or volunteer. I love being productive. I'm naturally just a hard worker. I think
Yeah.
that's part of American culture.
Yeah.
Hustle culture.
While I agree with that, I think that's every culture thinks it's part of their culture
Yeah.
to be a hard worker.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any culture that is decidedly like, oh no, we're just lazy people.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
But America, you have that hustle. So,
Yeah.
I moved out when I was 16, and I started working full time. So every country I go to, I find I've only been teaching for like a year and a half.
Mhm.
So I would find any job, and I think it's the best way to learn about a culture if
Yeah.
you actually work and get to know people, and
yeah.
stress.
No. Oh yeah.
I
yeah.
think if you can be in a new place and be stressed, you learn a lot about yourself. So,
Yeah.
I've done like so many jobs in so many different places, and it's kind of, I think, raised my confidence. And
Oh, for me too.
yeah,
100%.
yeah, and knowing you can do anything anywhere
Yeah.
and just fucking figure it out.
Yeah.
So
No,
I've been
100%.
lucky.
I feel that 100%. Is there anything else?
actually, I'm a little bit of a I don't know the right word for it, but one of the main jobs I've done while traveling over the years, which is funny that I'm married to like a Muslim man. I do life drawing classes, so I model for them. Sometimes I teach them, or I'm a student. So it's funny to be part of one culture, but like I get paid to be naked, pretty much, which is so opposite from the culture I spend most of my time in.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, no matter what country you go to, you can find, something.
A niche.
A niche, yeah. So like every city, I find life drawing courses, animation studios, universities, and I'm able to have a community. And even in Pakistan, it wasn't life drawing, but I still found amazing art classes in a community.
Yeah.
So that's always really special to me.
Yeah.
So that's a big passion of mine, life drawing.
Nice.
And that's why I respect my husband so much, because he's fine with it.
Yeah.
He lets me do whatever I want, even though it's counterintuitive to his culture.
I asked my girlfriend if she would be okay with me doing it. She was like,
yeah,
that's fine.
I think if you respect your partner, and bodies are just bodies, and it's not a sexual thing. So that's an interesting job that has been a hobby, but also allowed me to travel and save money and make money and meet people. And I love training new models, because to meet someone who's putting themselves in an uncomfortable situation and out of their comfort zone, and to be able to express themselves and kind of accept themselves is so special to me. So that's one of my biggest passions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Is there anything else about Pakistan you want to add? You want to advertise solo female travel for Pakistan?
I
rate it
think,
at 1 to 10?
I think it's an amazing place to travel. It's possible to do it solo traveling. You'll have more good experiences than bad ones, but as a solo female, you do need to understand it's not all rainbows and sunshines. There are tour companies you can go through. It's worth it, and it's the most beautiful place in the world. It's one of the hardest places, I think.
Of course.
But it's possible as a woman to do it, and I mean, you just have to be realistic. But anywhere you travel has its, good and bad parts.
Yeah.
But I mean, even traveling, like when I've been in, the UK, or there's good and, even in cultures I'm more used to, there's good and bad stuff as a solo traveler. So like, just why not do it? In life, put yourself out of your comfort zone and
100%.
Yeah.
100%. All right. Yeah. 45 minutes, almost on the dot. Cool. Could you hold this?
Yes.
All right. Goodbye.